FPV pilots, Smooth Virus here with you again. Call sign Virus. Once again, we are in the FRZ, the flight restricted zone, around Washington, D.C. In fact, we're kind of right in the middle of it. So, another weekly update. Well, let's get right to it. In the news, the Rotor Riot controversy continues. Their Facebook group still kind of in a meltdown mode. That has spilled over onto Reddit somewhat. But the big thing that's happened now is the video they had of the building diving in Atlanta has been pulled offline. Now, Chad Kapper came on the Rotor Riot Facebook group and said that it had nothing to do with the FAA, something else is going on, but he didn't specify what. So we would just have to speculate as to why they decided to take that video down. I don't know. Maybe they got a call from somebody's lawyer, but it is not down now. Chad did say that they would put it back up at some later point, so I guess we'll see what happens. That's about it on that story. On to Amazon. Amazon has made drone delivery history with an airdrop of popcorn. So Amazon has made their first ever commercial drone delivery. This took place in Cambridge in the United Kingdom. So as part of their testing program. So I think the legal conditions aren't too favorable to do this kind of thing here in the States yet. So they're still doing this over in the United Kingdom. But yeah, that's progress. Personally, I think the drone delivery business is still a little bit pie in the sky, but we eventually will get there. Eventually, I think it'll happen. But it's good to see that they're making progress. I just hope that they don't try to shut us down as hobbyists and small businessmen. We'll have to see how it goes. But I'll put a link to this story so you can check it out. Third story. So the city of Orlando has okayed some rather draconian drone regulations. Now these aren't in effect yet. It must be approved at a second and final public hearing on January the 9th, 2017. If it's approved then, it goes into effect immediately. The city commissioners voted unanimously to pass the ordinance. Basically, from what I'm saying, you have to file for a permit within 48 hours of your flying, and it's a $20 fee, and that's every time you fly. So, yeah, what a pain, man. This is not a good thing. And this is kind of the issue that we're facing here in the United States right now with regards to hobbyists and to Part 107 flyers, is that, you know, we can work with the FAA, and while the FAA seems to kind of drop the ball or get a little bit too aggressive sometimes, they do seem to be agreeable to work things out, and over time the FAA seems to be getting better. I think the Part 107 that they passed in August was a good thing, but now the problem we face is we've got all these local and municipal governments, and there's thousands of them, and stuff like what's going on in Orlando is a big problem for us because other cities may try to copy that, and this just doesn't work. I mean, a $20 fee, and you have to file 48 hours notice just to fly a ladybug quad, to fly the Hobby Zone Champ, and they've also made it illegal to fly on any schoolyards, and I have a problem with that as well, because a lot of my early flying was all in schools. I mean, not while school was in session. This was all on the weekend when nobody was out there on the field, but it bothers me that the idea that a parent could take their child to the neighborhood school on a Saturday afternoon and teach them to fly an RC airplane, that's now illegal in the city of Orlando. A parent can be arrested and fined. So just stupid, man. I don't have anything else to say other than it's just stupid. Apparently, a lot of local hobbyists showed up at the meeting where this was passed, but they passed it anyway. The police department down in Orlando was pushing this very hard, so that's why it's passed. Hopefully, they can shut this down before January 9th, but it doesn't look good. Moving on to some happier topics. In new products, I didn't really get a chance to talk about it last week, but the Rightwing Drak, or the Mini Drak, not the Drak, the Mini Drak is almost here, and apparently this is the motor that Rightwing is going to put in it too. It's a 2814 kV 1700. Wow, that's a high kV motor. I wonder if people are going to run that on a 4S. I would. That's interesting. So anyway, there's the motor. They posted some photos of what the prototype looks like. This is the first one that comes, the first molded one that's coming back from the facility in Germany where Rightwing is having this made. They also posted a video of their impressions of the first prototype. I do like this plane, and I very nearly got one, but it's not cheap. It's once you work out the cost of the kit and then all the electronics and the powertrain and everything else, it's pricey. So I kind of went with the C1 Chaser, and yeah, I like it, but it's expensive. So I think I'm going to sit on the sidelines for this one. Actually, if you're sitting on the sidelines, this is something else you should know. I've been told that the first run of the Mini Drak is almost sold out. So if you're thinking about getting one and pre-ordering before they come out, now is the time to do so. It may already be too late by the time I post this, but I know there aren't many left. Me, I'm going to wait and see. It looks like a good model. I did have a friend that had some problems with the big one, and he advised me not to get the Mini Drak. So, in more FPV product news, Finwing Hobby has put up the webpage for the FPV Traveler plane, and if you pre-order, you're getting 50% off, so that comes out to $44.98 US, so $45. That's pretty good. That's a good deal. I do wonder how much shipping is going to be from China for that. It probably isn't going to be cheap. I did have them ship me my Saber last year, and that was kind of expensive. So looks like you can get it with a case. And yeah, what size battery? Recommend 3S 2200 for most of the flyers. 3S 3500 for longer range senior flyers only. I guess that would include me. It comes with aluminum reinforced Traveler suitcase. ARF including power items, but kit's not. So is the $45 for the ARF or for the kit? Since it ends in a K, I'm going to have to assume that's probably the kit and not the ARF. Yeah, okay. So there we go. So the electronics are an extra $42, and the suitcase is $30, or you can get a launch cart for $4. All right, so that's about $100. Roughly 80, 110, around in there. I'm not going to try and add it up in my head right now. That's not a bad deal. I still wonder about the shipping. I like the looks of the plane. Oh, and I forgot, but you can get it in EPP white or EPP black. Now that's pretty cool. I hope this sells well. I don't have any plans that would include something like this right now for my hangar, so I'm going to watch this. I don't know that I'm going to join in on the pre-order because I am, as you're going to find out, I am pretty much very busy with a lot of builds going on right now. Estimated delivery March 20th, 2017. Okay, well, there you go. Finwing Traveler. On to what I'm up to. Well, I'm not flying much right now because winter has arrived. It's been stupid cold the last few days. This morning we had a big ice storm with lots of crashes on the highway, so I've been inside all day up until now. And let's see, over at the airport, 40 degrees, winds from the south-southeast at 6. That's actually not bad flying weather if you want to fly from inside. But yeah, not a flying day today. I've got too much stuff going on. I'm probably going to be jonesing within a few days to go fly. Of course, next weekend is Christmas. So maybe I'll take some stuff down to Fredericksburg and I'll get a chance. That doesn't look too bad. High of 50 degrees, light winds. That could work. Chance of rain though. But okay. Another topic we didn't get to make it to last week is my where's the photo? The photo. The Skywalker X8. So this was actually the first FPV fixed-wing plane I bought, but then I decided to build the Penguin instead, and that became my first fixed-wing FPV platform. And the Skywalker sat on the sidelines for a couple of years, and then I finally built it out in 2015. Took it down to Florida, maidened it. It lasted about 2 seconds in the air, rolled over and crashed into a curb. And yeah, this is what was left. Basically, I knocked the nose off. There was some damage to the wings, but it wasn't bad. Actually, this is fixable, so that kind of brings us to where we are today. Now, what happened was I got back home to Virginia, and then Finwing asked for people to review the Finwing Saber, and I offered to do that, and they sent me one. I did have to pay for shipping, but the plane itself was free. But yeah, so what I wound up doing was stripping most of the electronics out of my X8 and putting that in the Saber, and they're still in there. Everything except the motor. The motor I didn't use. But now I'm thinking I should fix this and put some more electronics in it and fly it. Obviously it needs some repairs. It needs another paint job, and I spent a lot of time trying to paint that thing. This may be another winter project. I've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I don't even know if I'm going to have time today to cover all of it. But let's move on to something else I wanted to talk about last week but didn't get a chance to because we ran so long. So this is the Pitlab FPV OSD. Now, I've been thinking about getting one of these for a while now. It has a lot more features that the Eagle Tree Vector does not. One of those, which is pretty cool, is the Pitlab has a built-in ILS system. So ILS stands for Instrument Landing System. And back in the day, I did a lot of training in full-size aircraft to get my instrument pilot rating. So I know a thing or two about ILS approaches, and the idea of doing ILS approaches in my FPV plane just gets me all giddy and happy. That's just too cool. So I'm interested in this unit. I don't have one. There's not a distributor in the United States, but I'm hearing very good things about it on RC groups. So I'm interested. I may get one of these and put it in my Saber and then put the Vector in something else. Maybe I can put it in the X8. There's an idea. But I wanted to point this out. I think it's neat. I don't know a whole lot about setting it up, but I'd like to fly it. Comes with a whole bunch of stuff. It has GLONASS and GPS, I believe. Metric or imperial units. Distance and directions to base. Well, Vector does that. Forecasted energy usage for electric planes. I think the Vector does that. Waypoints, airfields with approach patch. I'm sure they mean path. And high obstacles near to plane. Hey, now Vector doesn't do that. That's cool. Related position of other models with the buddy flight system. That's cool as well. Although I don't know anybody else that has a Pitlab, but I might be able to talk some of the other people in Rogue Squadron into getting one. So that would be neat. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if the Pitlab is in the plans, but I'm interested. It's a neat system, and there's some cool videos on YouTube of this being tested out. C1 Chaser. So Matthew over at Rag the Nuts Off, I think it was yesterday that he did the FPV Maiden on his, but it didn't go well, and as you can see, he managed to rip the motor out of the motor mount on his plane. So he thinks that it may have been overloaded. The wing loading was too high. Now I know, or at least I'm fairly certain, he was using the Multi-Star 5200 milliamp 4S battery in that, and that's actually the battery I was planning on using in mine. So this kind of bothers me. I'm kind of thinking, am I going to be able to run that battery in this model? I might have to get a lighter battery. Maybe like a 3000 or a 3300 4S. I'd probably get a Glacier battery if it was me, because I like the Glaciers from Buddy RC. They're not super cheap, but they're not terribly expensive. That's going to knock my budget for the C1 Chaser up a little bit, because the plan all along was to share batteries between my C1 Chaser and my Mini Talon. Now I already have like 5 batteries that'll go in the Mini Talon, so that would work out great. I'm just going to have to see how it goes with Matthew's build and some of the other Trailblazers on the C1 Chaser, but I guess I'm one of them too. I did get the tail, the vertical stabilizers kind of done, and I'm doing them up in kind of a VF-84 or the United States Navy VF-84 / Robotech Skull Squadron kind of motif. So I lammed these up a couple days ago. That's really about all I've done. It wasn't easy laminating these vertical stabilizers, because getting like right through this little shape right here was tough. I'll do the wings next, and I'll get the decals put on the wings. I have some servos I can use. The motor's here. The ESC is here, so we're good there. I don't have an FPV camera or transmitter. I don't really have any of the FPV components, and I don't have an OSD for it yet. And Matthew is using the full-size Vector in his, but I'm going to use the micro Vector in mine and try to keep the weights down. And especially after what happened to Matthew's, now I'm really thinking I really got to keep the weight down on this model. But I will keep everybody posted as we move along with that. So, final topic. We're clipping along today. No, that's the X8. I do have the wings and the tail for my Mini Talon rebuild laminated, so that's ready. Now I just got to put the fuselage together and then get all the electronics in it. So Mini Talon should be going pretty soon. I should be back in the air, and I kind of went with red coloring on the top. You can't see it in this photo, but I do this with all my models. I put some black stripes on the bottom, and all of this is just done with Sharpie markers from the CVS. So once you put laminate over it, it's not coming off, so it works out well, and it's easy to do, and it doesn't look too bad. So, oh, and I've got my little skunky, which I actually ordered straight from Lockheed Martin. So that's the Lockheed Martin Skunkworks logo. And I put that on there because the Mini Talon is actually based on a Skunkworks design. It's not an exact copy, but it's based. You can tell that it's based on it, and they look very similar. It's called the Desert Hawk. which I don't think they make anymore, but that thing must have been a nice flyer because the Mini Talon is a fantastic flyer. Alright everybody, I guess that's it for this week. We will see you next week with another update from the FRZ, and maybe we'll get to do some flying next weekend. If the weather holds, I will take some stuff down to Fredericksburg with me, and if I go to Fredericksburg. I have to check on that, but that's where my family is. But anyway, I'll let you guys know, and we'll have more news updates for you as well. So have a great one, keep them flying, and Cheerios. I got like a box of Cheerios just to make that into a joke. Anyway, see you guys. Have a good one.